Okay, recording.
Hello everyone. I wish you a good day, a good afternoon, and a good evening. Welcome to the sUN Virtual Debates 2020 scrimmage for today. Our host is Fred Becker, who will be managing the technical aspects of our match. Our judges are Jim Plaxco and Brian Roche. Jim Plaxco is the president of Chicago Society for Space Studies and volunteers as a NASA JPL Solar System Ambassador. He is a former president of the Northern Illinois Space Advocacy, a former vice president and director of both the NSS and the Planetary Studies Foundation. Brian Roche competed nationally at Glenbrook South High School from 2012 to 16 and then at University of Michigan from 2016 to 20, where he majored in political science. And I am the timekeeper and facilitator for Room 40, and my name is Apurva, and I would like to read the following statement to you. The winning team is chosen based on their skill and effort and not on any preset NSS position. NSS clearly believes that humanity should continue to explore, develop, and settle space. However, NSS also believes that open, honest debate will facilitate that goal. It is important that space advocates understand and be able to express the anti-space case. No statement made by any debater or coach is an official position of NSS. Let's meet our debaters. Team New Glen, please give us your name, home country, and ethnicity.
My name is Elhoushy. I live and I've been raised in southern Florida in the United States, and both of my parents are from Egypt.
Hello everyone, I am Lucky Bonsala and I'm an Indian.
Hello, I'm Dana and I'm from Romania.
Hello everyone, I am Radu Morarashu. I'm also from Romania and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Team New Glen. Team Super Heavy, please give us your name, home country, and ethnicity.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Abhinaya. I'm from Hyderabad, India, and I'm an Indian.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm from India, and I'm Indian.
Hello, my name is Andrei. I'm from Romania, and I'm a Romanian.
Hello, my name is Ryan Grizzard. I'm from southern Florida, United States, and I'm a Vietnamese American.
Thank you, Team Super Heavy. If anyone has a question, please raise your hand in your participants icon. Please mute your mic unless you're speaking, and only the presenting team and judges should turn on their videos unless directed by the moderator. Here is our format for the debate today. Each member of Team New Glen will speak for 2 minutes, taking the affirmative position. I will let the speaker know when 2 minutes is reached. After the affirmative 8 minutes, Team Super Heavy, each speaking for 2 minutes, will give their negative argument. After hearing their arguments, our host will open the breakouts for 5-minute conversations for the teams to prepare their summary and the judges to confer. The breakouts will close and the affirmative side with only one person from Team New Glen now presenting their 3-minute summary. I'll indicate when your time limit has expired. Finally, one person from the negative side, Team Super Heavy, will present their 3-minute summary and I'll indicate the time limit if needed. If there is time, the judges may ask a question of the teams. The questions may be answered by any and all member of the teams. The judges will use their breakout to discuss their findings and determine the match winner. After 8 minutes, the judges will return to the common Zoom room to give their decision and feedback should time allow. We have a hard debate session stop at 11:15 a.m. CDT for this room. All right, Mr. Becker, do we only have the judges and affirmative team with live videos and mics?
Yes.
Let's get started. We'll hear from the first speaker from Team New Glen representing the affirmative position for Resolution B. The gateway will be critical in expanding human presence to the moon and deeper into the solar system. Team New Glen, your first speaker may begin.
We begin by affirming the resolution that the gateway will be critical in expanding human presence into space. NASA described the gateway as a small spaceship in orbit around the moon that will provide access to more of the lunar surface than ever before. The word critical is defined by the Oxford English Dictionary as of decisive importance in relation to the issue. Universalization requires human focus on social, technological, economic, and cultural challenges. While my teammates represent the technological and economic benefits that the gateway is making, I will ask a simple question. Does the gateway address the social and cultural issues? The answer is yes. As Charles Darwin once said, it is the long history of humankind that those who learn to create, to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. Humans benefit the most when we join forces. The gateway is making this happen. For this project, NASA will be working with 3 international partners: Canada, Europe, and Japan. Japan is an important player in Asia, while the European Space Agency has 23 members, including second world countries like Romania, Poland, and Estonia. Russia is also thinking about joining. The carrier rocket options for the gateway are being developed by 3 private companies, SpaceX, ULA, and Blue Origin. They could also add more international influences throughout their employees. Another important aspect linked to the gateway is that this year, NASA also laid out some rules for space moon exploration named Artemis Accords, which help us achieve universalization. Space agencies that join have to agree by creating a safe and transparent environment which facilitates exploration for all humanity to enjoy. The gateway is the project that will start universalization on a big scale, which makes it critical for expanding the human presence into space. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 1. Speaker 2 from Team New Glenn, you may begin.
July 20, 1969 is considered a memorable day because it is when the first man set their foot on the moon, and now going to moon is like a piece of cake. Remembering the failure projects, according to NASA.gov, there are 5 projects that even failed after the successful Apollo mission. Projects like Cosmo 300 failed due to the failure of upper block B, which failed, and Cosmo 300 failed for the same reason. Apollo 13 manufactured due to the explosion of oxygen tank. Luna failed because it did not even collide with the target on the moon, and Luna 18 failed because it did not land on the moon. And Columbia failed because accidentally was a piece of foam has fallen out of the shuttle while launching in the external fuel tank. That the foam was stuck in the left wing while coming out in the entering the atmosphere, re-entering the atmosphere, and it has separated the Columbia shuttle, and that had broke out. And with all these projects, we need to understand one common thing, that they all failed, and Columbia had astronauts in it who actually died. And if we had a gateway, we could have done it really good, and we could have saved their lives. And now we cannot risk the other astronauts' life by not making a gateway. And they even caused a huge loss. And they should be a gateway which will give a giant leap step for mankind in future. And space exploration, as it can be a checkpoint to launch. And this gateway is a checkpoint. The gateway can be used as a fuel station, repair station, and the storage module. NASA's blueprint of Lunar Gateway has a part of it called Logistic and Utilization Module, which can carry resources and transport the resources around the spacecraft and even to the surface of the moon. And this is why the gateway became so important in exploring of moon, and why not even in deeper solar system. A gateway will also give a confident feeling for us, a kind of feeling that we can launch the spacecraft without no stress of failing projects anymore. This resolution would simply promote universalization in much more modern form, and it would be more effective than ISS in doing now. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 2. Speaker 3 from Team New Glenn, you may begin.
We must affirm the given resolution simply because it would be an essential way to allow Earth's people to get to the moon and beyond much more easily. Space travel and exploration has been at a plateau in recent years, and this resolution would literally propel us past that plateau into a new age of lunar exploration. According to a 2009 research article by the Parabolic Arc website, NASA, the European Space Agency, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and many others have proposed a lunar gateway model that would be placed at the closest part of its orbit, only 400 kilometers from the surface of the moon. For comparison, the closest distance the ISS could ever get to the lunar surface is its normal 3,000 kilometers. But either way, the extreme size of the ISS would prevent it from having any benefit in shipping materials at a high rate or at a low power consumption or cost. This gateway would not only be smaller and more beneficial than the ISS, but it would cost significantly less, and it would require much less fuel and power, with this gateway station only having a tentative cost of $90 billion compared to the ISS's $150 billion, according to NASA just this year. The idea has been proposed that the ISS could potentially be used as this gateway, or that it is not beneficial to utilize the gateway because settlements are already being built on the lunar surface. But what these propositions fail to consider is that the gateway's orbit would be so conveniently close to the surface of the moon that it would simply be essential from a financial standpoint to utilize it, as materials and humans could be easily shipped from the surface of the moon with much less cost and power consumption compared to other options out there. meaning it would simply be critical for their own health to have a rest stop on the way to the moon. If we utilize this gateway system now and invest into its development, it would be crucial for Earth as a global power, as it would not only provide a rest stop for humans traveling to the moon, which would take up to a week according to Universe Today in 2020, but it would also allow us to ship humans and cargo to the surface of the moon with so much convenience, and other docking stations on the surface of the moon would be able to surmount it, and no other docking station would be able to surmount it, as there'd be no system available that would not only utilize these humans in the long term, but that can easily place both them and cargo onto the lunar surface. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 3. Speaker 4 from Team New Glenn, you may begin.
Okay, the gateway may also be a great way to send radio signals into deep space, reaching spacecraft that are very far away from Earth, receiving signals back from them and even from other planets. This way, the gateway can be a great step for interplanetary communications that will help humanity to communicate beyond our nowadays limits. First of all, in deep space communication, we observe a problem because of gravity. Because of the difference of electric potential, the radio signals act like light waves and are affected by gravity, as Einstein stated in his theory of relativity. So gravity creates a curve in space-time, and light simply follows the curve, which can affect interplanetary signals. It is true that Earth's gravity is not that powerful to affect radio signals over short distances, like between the Earth and the Moon. But in the case of signals from another part of the solar system, the minuscule deformation of signals that is negligible over short distances becomes gigantic. Here is the moment when the gateway comes on the scene. Because the gateway will be situated far from Earth, the gravitational force of Earth won't affect the signals it sends and it receives. So the accuracy of the transmissions will be improved versus terrestrial-based communications. Second of all, the gateway can even make the communication easier. I think that we all know about the Deep Space Network. It is a series of gigantic antennas spread all around the globe, so that we are sure that the transmission of signals won't be affected by Earth's rotation. This way, the gateway can cover most signals because certainly it's situated in space, so the Deep Space Network won't be overwhelmed as much as it is now. So with the gateway, we can have a better, stronger, more accurate connections than we have now on Earth, and it can be a crucial aspect for future missions. In summary, we have shown that the gateway is critical in expanding human presence beyond our planet. It fosters a collaborative, universal approach, provides resources to make space travel safer and easier, gives us the best access to lunar surface, and keeps us in close communication with those humans who have left the Earth. So that's why we sustain today's resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 4. Thank you, Team New Glenn. It's time to hear from Team Super Heavy representing the negative position. Do we have only the judges and negative team with live video and mics? Okay. Speaker 1 from Team Super Heavy, you may begin.
Respected jury, coaches, and my fellow mates, a very good morning, afternoon, evening to one and all present here. Our team will be telling you about economics management, gateway sustainability, astronauts' health, and NASA skepticism. The gateway is not justified, while its cost may be astronomical. According to NASA.gov, the total cost of the ISS was $150 billion, and the cost for every person on the ISS was $7.5 million per day. The gateway is much further from Earth than the ISS, and with the help of Space.com study, we found out Apollo's 11 cost was approximately $109 billion. According to spinoff.nasa.gov, a mission to the moon is about 1,000 times further from Earth than missions to the International Space Station. Also, according to space.com, a trip to Mars takes 6 months there and the same coming back, and only a few hours to get to the ISS. So the total cost of maintaining the lunar spacecraft will be a lot bigger than maintaining the ISS. A study made by Space.com related the gateway will be the biggest rocket ever launched. Not only the components will cost a lot, but also the cost of the launch and placing the spacecraft in the lunar orbit will be astronomical. According to Mars.nasa.gov, the total minimum delta V to send a spacecraft to the moon then to Mars is 7.7 kilometers per second, which is 102% more energy than is needed to simply send it directly to Mars. This is something that goes against the concept of universalization. While it uses a lot of resources, it costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time, which I think you agree is the most important resource we have while our planet is dying, having already a lot of problems with global warming, global pollution. So a mission directly to Mars would be more justified, but it doesn't take so many resources, it's less expensive, something respectful, not only for the environment, but also for humanity. called universalization. So the gateway won't be critical in expanding human presence to the moon and deeper into the solar system when other missions are more justified. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 1. Speaker 2 from Team Super Heavy, please give us your argument.
A moon base rather than the gateway would serve as a first step towards ensuring the long-term survival of the human race, towards exploring and colonizing further reaches of the universe, something respectful for humanity called universalization. According to the BBC, a base would provide a foundation to improve our spaceflight technology, explore the lunar surface, and expand our scientific understanding. There's the potential of using lava tubes, tunnels formed during the moon's volcanic past, as shelters with access to frozen water and ice beneath the surface. According to nationalgeography.com, the moon harbors many mysteries, including how it was formed. According to the USRA, from a lunar research base, scientists could explore the moon's lava tube caves, look for signs of geologic activity, and investigate hints of water ice found in the craters of the lunar poles. As stated by spacenews.com, a lunar research base would give NASA expertise in engineering and operating life support systems, sustainable energy sources, ways of supplying food, and recycling water. This could help us start a sustainable life in space, and even we can implement these methods to solve a few problems right here on Earth, which is also universalization. According to space.com, the gateway only reduces our chance of colonizing the moon by 2024, which is a great disadvantage. Transferring components to the lunar orbit from Earth demands substantially more energy, requiring more powerful rockets and higher mission complexity. This dramatically increases our financial expenses and danger. Components may fail to be delivered, docking maneuvers may miss, and accidents become drastically more hazardous due to the distance from Earth. Are we ready to take such a risk? No, we're not. Hence, Gateway is not critical for expanding human presence into the solar system. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 3. Speaker 4 from Team Super Heavy, you may begin.
The Lunar Gateway is a bad idea. As exciting as it is for humanity, the Lunar Gateway is another dead end. There is no need for one, and it makes financial nor scientific sense. According to Phillips Organization, astronauts returned from long stays on the International Space Station must be carried out of the landing capsule because their muscles have wasted away from the disuse. Even if they have worked out, according to NASA government, the gateway will only have 12.8 feet. So it won't have much space. It won't have much space for sports equipment. A lunar base would be more appropriate for them to exercise better, as we don't want them to have muscle problems. The crew will be made out of only 4 members. According to the American Psychological Association, the people on the gateway will have lots of needs. As my colleague already said, transport between Earth and the gateway is also heavily achieved, while the distance is astronomical, so their needs will be hardly managed. While every 30 to 60 days, the new crew will need to come to the station. Many resources will be used for transport, disrespectful for the environment, something that is in contradiction with universalization. According to encyclopedia.com, a lunar base can protect those inside it from radiation better as it has protostatical material that acts as a shield. A study made by ISS National Lab, the microgravity environment in the gateway can also deleterious effects on organisms like cardiovascular and musculoskeletal changes, neurovestibular adaptation, immune dysfunction, and delayed wound healing. So the gateway won't be critical in expanding the human presence to the moon and further into space, while it brings a lot of risk for our health, while in a lunar base doesn't. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 3. And finally, Speaker 4 from Team Super Heavy, you may begin.
To conclude our debate today, I'll explain why and how Gateway is redundant and unnecessary. NASA's ambiguous plan for the Gateway is unjustified as it offers less than a typical space station at a much steeper cost. NASA's expensive and unjustified plans for the station only offer 4 astronauts at a time while having the same practicality as a big satellite or rover at an extreme price. According to a report done by Space News, NASA itself has even removed Gateway from its critical path to get to the moon by 2024. Proving that the Gateway is to be unfeasible and unnecessary. Also, areas of the moon are already being explored and scouted by rovers and satellites. In conjunction with these rovers, lunar reconnaissance orbiter satellites are already orbiting eccentric parts of the moon and scouting for future human and robotic missions on the moon. If anything, Gateway only stands in the way of furthering space exploration deeper into the solar system, as it will take extra time, manpower, and not only an extra $30 billion more in funds. Even NASA officials have stated that creating a lunar outpost or base would be more cost-effective and more critical to exploring the moon than creating a space station at a similar cost. Not only does Gateway go against the way of progress towards colonizing the moon, but it also goes against universalization, as it wastes of resources that could benefit humanity in other ways, and does not consider the lunar environment. Countless rovers, satellites, and astronauts already contribute the same attributes that Gateway is promising to do for less resources and time. Therefore, the Gateway is not critical for further space exploration or travel. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 4. Thank you, Team Super Heavy. We'll now ask Mr. Becker to open the breakout rooms for 5 minutes for the judges to confer and the teams to prepare their summaries. Please join the breakout rooms. Can I have everybody's videos and mics on, please?
Hi, Apurva.
Hello.
And hello again, Suvik. I've seen a lot of you the last several days.
So how are you guys feeling? I think it's going great so far. Both teams are doing very fantastic.
Yeah, I'm thrilled with what I see. I'm glad I'm not sitting on the judge's chair. It would be so very difficult.
Definitely.
Wonderful progression of confidence and emotion and even arguments, I think, from the get-go.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
So, coaches, here's a question for you. What have you experienced with your students in terms of their belief of the reality of a seafaring civilization?
Well, I would say that my team, I think you can predict they were drawn to the National Space Society's SPUN debates. So these are people who are excited about space, believe in space, want to be a part of humanity's expansion into space. So I think what has been interesting for me and part of working with them as a coach is actually helping them when they were like, oh, I don't have anything to say about why we wouldn't go to space, why we shouldn't spend money on space. I can't defend that. And sort of working through with them, their ability to explore and understand the arguments that are on that side that challenge their own personal beliefs. So
I have to say the same thing as Tammie. And I just, when we started out, it was just like, this is impossible. What in the world? But then as we started talking more and more, I think the conversations became quite deep about what are we considering here. And especially as the COVID isolation continued and still continues. And in India, the COVID has just taken off now, unfortunately, with the number of cases, et cetera. So I think this idea that we do have some problems here on Earth that we certainly need to address, but what are we learning about in space? And then having this marvelous SpaceX launch and actually dock on the ISS is so exciting about the possibilities of all these countries working together and figuring out things. So I think the biggest thing was, we're smart people. Let's figure this thing out here on Earth. So that's pretty much where our conversations were.
Fred, what do you see as the biggest stepping stone to a seafaring civilization?
Oh, I think just getting more investment going here. I think more people like Blue Origin and SpaceX starting up new companies around the world, and maybe get more space agencies created in other countries so we can all get things moving. There's investors around the world. We can get things not to happen only in the Western world, but at the Eastern world, and get moving.
I'm wondering about what LJ, do you have an idea about what else besides hardware and software that might be needed to get this spacefaring civilization going?
Well, I like the comment about, or just our colleague's previous comment about getting it out beyond sort of the traditional players in space. And I think the other non-traditional players in space are the humanities and social sciences having a voice, and just people in general. I think the whole idea of public engagement, but you know, where's our community in the continent of Africa, the largest, fastest growing population and the youngest population? You know, they should be part of this story as well, because it's a big story and it's a great story. And so I'm really keen on these debates, obviously. I'm very keen on getting it into the public domain. And I'm very keen on people all around the world seeing a place for them in space and the opportunities. And I think, you know, I'm hoping that the next phase of space development is much more broader, as my colleague just said before, that we're really engaging the broader community of space dreamers into reality. It's a really exciting time. And I must say, listening to, as you say, this group of students, these colleagues, really debate the pros and the cons in a very insightful, thoughtful way is just really assuring. I can't begin to say how just the quality of the conversation is very high. And the cooperation of these students from 4 or 5 different countries and communities, as we said, even like in Romania or in the United States, these students don't know each other. And now they do, and they're starting to see, you know, even their own uniqueness and similarities, but differences in their own culture. And I think that just speaks volumes to this kind of experience that we're exposing this group of our next generation to say, you know, how we can do this and do this cooperatively. I'm really excited.
You know, like any project that you have, I think the build of these teams has not been without some difficulties, some challenges. And so each person has had to kind of come out of their comfort zone to make these teams be cohesive and perform their best. Coach Tammie, would you have anything to weigh in on that?
I agree. I would say probably, I feel like what, hi Team New Glenn, I'm talking about you. What my team has learned the most is how to work effectively as a team. And that has been truly wonderful to watch. It's not easy when you're together in person and you grew up in the same place and you speak the same language. And we just added all of those other barriers, and they have been tremendous at overcoming them all. So it's been really wonderful.
Yeah, I can see that as well.
Dr. Edmonds?
Oh, I can see it as well. I think to her point is that learning now how to work together across cultures, across languages, across geographies is where it's at. And I think the coaches have done a phenomenal job to navigate this story in a way that the quality of the experience is high for everybody. You just see this group of students, they're really engaged. And they're working as a team, and they're working in ways that I don't think they envisaged they would be working when they started this process. So congratulations to the coaches and everybody, but I can only imagine what this was like to accomplish. So it's pretty phenomenal.
Thank you, Ajay. So I see everybody is back. We're ready for the team summaries. So everyone except the affirmative team, please switch off your videos and mute your mics. Team New Glenn, representing the affirmative position, please give us your 3-minute summary. You may begin.
I would like to start off by restating and furthering our own contentions, then by negating the oppositions, then by weighing the arguments of this round. We have argued that the Gateway is most definitely critical to expanding human presence into space, and our first contention is that the Gateway would address and attack social and cultural universalization issues that the negation simply did not address clearly. In their first contention, the negation stated that the Gateway would not only be further from the moon than the ISS, as they even stated, but they also stated that, you know, it would cost more and that it would be larger. They not only nullified this in their own contention during their speech, but that information is just simply false. If we were to develop upon the ISS to utilize a lunar exploration, it would just simply be invalid, and the Gateway would provide a much better option. And in their second contention, they stated the effects of lava tubes and lunar research and exploration, and how if we were to develop a Gateway, it would distract us from that. That's again just simply false, and it wouldn't promote universalization at all. Again, they didn't really tie it back to the resolution whatsoever. If we were to develop the gateway system to allow a rest stop, to allow this research to actually take place, it'd be more beneficial than not than simply us going directly to the moon with the little technology that we actually have to execute this research on the surface of the moon. They stated that we've explored the large majority of the lunar surface, which is why we don't need the gateway, but that's again completely false. According to the National Geographic website, we've only explored around 50% of the total surface of the lunar surface, which means that we would need the gateway system to allow us to send more resources from Earth to the moon. And the ISS, as they tried to say in their speech, wouldn't be able to do that effectively whatsoever. In their third contention, they stated that the lunar gateway is another dead end and it's not financially beneficial. And they stated on how many NASA workers have tried to promote this notion. But that's again simply incorrect. The gateway has, even though it's not necessarily in their quote unquote critical path by NASA, it's definitely still critical to them, as they have not only invested hundreds of millions of dollars into the program for it to be eventually successful, but their spaceflight management director of NASA even stated that it was critical for the gateway to be developed, and that they're simply putting it as a sort of side project as of now to allocate more funds to it in the long-term future, which again, the negation did not consider the long-term whatsoever. They tried to state on how the gateway system would not be beneficial in that it would just, limit our research financially, but that again is just not true. And they also stated many, quote, health risks to the gateway on how many different health concerns could be caused in the actual attendance of the gateway. But that again is not true, because they did not consider the fact at all that NASA has stated, and it has been proven that the gateway will eventually be able to hold a pseudo-gravity environment, which means that it'll eventually be able to hold those people without those, quote unquote, health risks that they stated in their speech. And again, to conclude, the definition of the word critical has been up for debate in and of itself, but the affirmative side has clearly and accurately assessed the task at hand, has clearly assessed the task at hand in this resolution, and has proven that the gateway is truly critical for the future of both space and lunar exploration and technological advancement and universalization in general. The negation tried to prove us wrong, but it's just clearly false. Their information is invalid, and it is not tied to the resolution as well as our information in general, and it definitely does not promote a modern way of...
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Team New Glam. Now, Team Super Heavy, representing the negative position, please give us your 3-minute summary.
The gateway won't be critical in expanding human presence to the moon and deeper into the solar system. Ambition directly to Mars would be more justified. Also, as my colleague Abhinaya said, it is more efficient and economical to just build a lunar base, something more respectful for the environment called universalization. The health risk can be considerably lowered if we replace the astronaut with robots, satellites, and rovers, while they can do the same thing because the gateway is orbiting, not landing on the moon, as Ryan said in his argument. A lunar base would have more space for sports equipment. Transport already needs to be done once every 30 to 60 days, so its cost will rise every month. Not only the building cost will be big, but also the cost of sending astronauts every month will be huge. The speaker that said the summary said everything we said is false. You are false, and I'm going to prove you why. Doug Loverow, NASA's Associate Administrator for Human Exploration and Operations, explained the change at the meeting of the NASA Advisory Council Science Committee. The gateway would not be critical for NASA's Artemis program for 2024. The gateway itself is not mandatory to get to the moon initially. So we are taking gateway out of the critical path to go ahead and get to the moon. Speaker once said the gateway will be a small spaceship that will give access to the lunar surface more than ever before. He also said it will help for collaboration between countries. Any other space program leads to collaboration, and the lunar base is more effective for cooperation, while some countries don't have money to make modules or parts for the gateway, but they can send useful tech or people to a lunar base. The team also said the gateway purpose is for research. Research does not make the gateway critical, so it is in contradiction with the resolution. Speaker 2 has talked about the risk and failures. Gateway does risk lives as it is far from Earth, and the transport is hard to achieve. She and Speaker 3 said we can easily get to the moon. False! How are you going to get to the moon, as you said? It will take a lot of time, as Abhinaya said in her argument. A lunar base is more justified, as I said earlier. How can LAP-G be used as the storage and refuel point when it is only 12 feet, as you also said in your arguments? Speaker 3 also said it will require less fuel and power. Not true, as I said in my argument. A lunar base would also be cheaper. and more sustainable than the Gateway, as it can use different resources from the moon, unlike Gateway, which takes all its resources from Earth. He also said cargo can be placed on a lunar surface. Aren't you talking about the lunar base now? Speaker 4 talked about interplanetary communication, but he hasn't brought any evidence about that. And I'm asking this question. If signals are not good, then how did we communicate with Voyager? Thank you.
Thank you, Team Super Heavy. Now, I think we have enough time for the judges to ask questions. Teams, please activate your videos. You may confer in real time online to determine who should answer the questions. Remember, anyone and everyone on your team may answer a question. However, they may not return to the question after the team has ceded the floor. Just a gentle reminder, both teams must be asked the same number of questions. Over to you, judges.
I have no questions, so I will pass. Thank you.
I'll just look over my notes really quick. I also think I don't have any questions at this time, but thank you, everyone.
Thank you, judges. I think we'll ask Mr. Becker to open the breakout room for the judges.
And can we judges ask for 12 minutes of time rather than 8, so we get an extra 4 minutes?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Yeah, we have the time for that. Mr. Becker?
Okay, yeah, I can do 12 minutes opening now.
Thank you, Fred.
Thanks.
Everybody, while we wait for the judges, please turn on your videos and turn on your mics also, please. Thank you. So, I just want to say that both teams have done a fantastic job so far. And I think we're all anxious and super excited. I'd like to echo Frances, as she's been saying, that there is no real loser here. We are all winners, because what we have accomplished today is setting a thought process in everybody who's going to see this on, you know, how important some stuff are. It'll raise questions that people have not considered before. So just a phenomenal job, you guys, and great work. So while we wait for them, let's reduce the tense atmosphere a little bit. With a thumbs up or thumbs down in your participants icon, can you tell me who feels the Gateway is a great idea in expanding our exploration of the moon, Mars, and beyond? And again, this is not with respective to your position. So however you feel, please let me know with thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, I'd love to, so it says both of them. I'd love to hear some explanation on that. Who would like to volunteer? Just raise your hand, please. Yeah, sure. Samir, go ahead.
Yeah, so personally, even though I was the AF speaker today, this debate has given me a lot more time to weigh the arguments on the pros and cons of the Gateway, and it's allowed me to just to develop my own independent opinion very well. And overall, I'd say that just from what I've learned about the Gateway and what it could do, not only for universalization, but for technological advancement, as it would essentially allow us to, it'd be a modernized ISS in a way, and at least from what I've learned from my research. So I think that it's definitely going to help us more than hurt us. And, the debate format definitely allowed me to, grow my independent opinion very well. And I was really, happy to see that it was in such, convenient format that allowed us to look at both the pros and the cons, very, extensively, since that's the entire premise of the debate. But I definitely learned a lot from it. And I concluded, based off of the research that I did, that it will be beneficial in technology and in universalization when that comes to count.
Thank you, Samir. Would anybody else like to add to that? I see Lucky. Are you raising your hand? I'm able to see you. Would you like to add that?
I'm sorry, at that time I joined the breakout room. I didn't really hear the question or the opinion. I'm sorry.
The question is, how do you really feel whether the Gateway is a great idea to expand our exploration of the moon, Mars, and beyond?
Yeah, I think it is really a great idea, like expanding keeping a gateway near Earth, which would give us, a kind of feeling that we would feel safer to go to space. Because I want to be an astronaut in future, and I don't want to risk my life like Colombian astronaut did, astronauts did, like in that. I just don't want to risk my life. And you know, like we have to take risks to go to space, but still, like we have a solution that's Gateway, which can help us. And I think Gateway is really a great thing that has to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucky. Let's hear from someone from Super Heavy. Andre, would you like to take a shot?
Yeah, sure. So I think the gateway is really a good idea because it is kind of space exploration and that's kind of the resolution A, I suppose. And I don't think it would be wise to tell my opinion about why the space exploration is justified. But yeah, I think the gateway is a really nice idea because we need to keep exploring as our ancestors did with the continents. And yeah, we can find modern solutions to the modern problems if we continue exploring.
So I'm hearing that you think it's a great idea. So what was your challenge in defending that it is not critical?
Well, yeah, it was a really tough challenge. Yeah, but I have found some evidence and I've made a lot of research and I really managed to do the negative point as well. It was hard, but I did it. And I think I managed to do it really good.
Yeah, definitely. You guys did a fantastic job. So let's hear from Abhinaya. What do you think of this?
At the beginning, when I started with the app, I did think that the gateway was a good idea. But when I started researching more about the negatives of the gateway, I just felt it was it lags us by 8 years and such things. Like the gateway is too small. It cannot support much things. And a lunar base would be kind of a imaginative dream. Living in a lunar base rather than the Earth. I just felt not having gateway would be better.
Thank you, Abhinaya. Can we hear from Radu? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that over these points about the gateway and so on, it can appear a very big debate out here because mostly it's the reliability between the first resolution and the second resolution. Like we have the problems regarding space exploration and the problems on Earth and so on. So the gateway would help us, but also the gateway will be a very expensive thing in general. It will be very expensive to maintain the gateway. We can even see that the ISS right now is disputed because a lot of people think that we should leave it there and not use it anymore because it takes too much money. So probably thinking that we will have pretty much 2 ISSs because the money from the money spent for the gateway will be pretty much the same, even like the one spent for the ISS. So I think that in this case, this much money will be a too big investment for the future of space exploration, and they can be used for solving problems. But also space exploration can help us to solve problems. So there is a pretty interesting balance out there.
Thank you, Radu. Can we hear from Ryan?
Well, overall, this event in itself has just been very fun and interesting for me, as it's my first time doing this and dealing with these topics and resolutions. But overall, I think Gateway is very necessary, actually, because if we look, even though I'm on the next side, of course, but I have looked into the other arguments and I've seen that it is definitely going to be better for us in the long term, like looking into the future, seeing like it will help with Mars exploration, lunar exploration, and basically space exploration deeper into our own galaxy. So I think that's my take on the Gateway.
Thank you, Ryan. Diana, what do you think?
So from the start, I thought it was a great idea, and after all of this debate, I still do, and that's about it.
Thank you. Rishika.
I think Gateway is actually a good idea, as I'm supporting negative also. Gateway is a good idea because it helps many people, like as affirmative team said that if any disaster comes, Gateway is a great idea. And of course, if we won't reach a dream also, Gateway is an option to save our lives. And at least if they keep some lives for risk and some lives will be safe. So for that reason, I think Gateway is also a good idea.
Thank you, Rishika. So I'm hearing from Super Heavy that majority of them think a gateway is actually a good idea. So I want to ask Francis, what was the challenge in working with them to, in a negative perspective?
It's kind of interesting because we prepared both positions, and I did not hear anybody say that they really thought the gateway was a better idea. They just kind of went on with, okay, how do we prove that it's not a good idea? How do we prove it is a good idea? And I think that was an interesting thing because I didn't hear as much difficulty in presenting the negative side of this as in presenting that space exploration is not justified when we have so many problems here on Earth. I heard a lot of pushback on that one, but not so much on this one. I don't know if it's because the first one we had worked through how to support a position that you're not necessarily for, and we struggled with that. So that when we came to Resolution B, which we had addressed after we had started working on Res A, I think that really kind of helped pave the way for us a little bit. So there wasn't so much energy spent in frustration. That's my take on it. I don't know, Coach Tammie, what was yours as they defended both sides?
Well, I would say for us, we really just kept returning to the wording of the resolution itself. And the resolution doesn't ask us if it's justified. It doesn't ask us if we have the money for it. It doesn't ask us any of those questions. It asks us, is it critical? Do we absolutely have to have it? And so that takes your personal feelings out of, your excitement about the gateway or whatever, out of the formula. And you're really being asked, can we get to Mars without it? Can we get to the moon without it? And then it makes it really super simple to write the negative because there's a million ways we could do those things, which is why both of the teams on this call won on negative before. So, I think it made the affirmative harder. How do you prove that you absolutely have to have a gateway?
Yep.
I think that's true.
Definitely true.
For me personally, I don't want to spend the time and energy on the gateway. I want to establish a colony. Wherever it is, let's go. So that's my difficulty.
Yeah. Soik, what's your take on this? We saw you said both thumbs up and down when asked.
So actually, before the debates, I was thinking Lunar Gateway was a good idea, but then after hearing all the arguments, I was like, okay, I don't know what to say anymore. But then it was confusing. But then again, there are many aspects, like you are saying we have to go to the base. So last year's in Chandrayaan 2, which failed, so we actually don't really yet know why did the mission fail. Like we don't have any data that why didn't the rover go reach or why did it crash. So the actual purpose of the rover to go there was to collect the water depth and data on moon quakes, which are very often on moon. So without those data, we actually can't build a base there because we have no idea what the intensity of the earthquakes there or how much water is there actually to extract. So that data can be collected efficiently with the help of a gateway, which is really important. So in that aspect wise, for more data, I think gateway is useful, but maybe instead of having a gateway, we can put a couple of more satellites or rovers for getting the information. I'm not sure about it. But one thing which I wanted a gateway to have, maybe a tourism center, because by the time we grow old and have kids, we can ask them, okay, summer vacation, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to International Space Station? Do you want to go to the moon? Or if you're rich, do you want to go to the Mars for summer vacation? You want to have the option there. Maybe it's nice to see something like that in development.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. What do you think, Fred? What's your take on this?
I favor going straight to the moon, make the best base possible, and then build a gateway. Why not?
It's quite interesting to see how most of us, some of us came in with a different opinion, and we really changed as we saw the debates. And and as we know, like some of the negative team thinks it's a good idea, and it's very interesting to hear all your opinions on it. And while we wait for the judges, I'd just like to ask one last question. Who among you, with another thumbs up and down, would like to be the chief architect for a moon colony? I see majority say yes, but some people do say no.
And what was the resolution that you were just voting on?
Oh, we were asking who among them would be interested to be the chief architect for a moon colony.
Oh, well, count me in.
That sounds awesome.
So would anybody like to give us some quick explanation on why they think they want to do that? Something really quick. Yeah, sure, Samir, go ahead.
Yeah, my school, I've just been a fan. We're very centered aerospace engineering type of school. We have a very strong STEM program, the school that I used to go to. And I've just really developed a major passion for engineering. And being the chief architect on Earth would be, let alone something fun. But I mean, on the lunar surface, on something that's been explored so little, and just that would be a lot more fun for me. And it would allow me to explore my passion not only for space, but for engineering.
Thank you, Samir. So yeah, the judges have returned. I think we're all anxiously awaiting the results. Before I'd like to request the judges to give the feedback first before announcing the results. And everyone, please activate your videos, but mute your mics, please. Thank you.
So I'm gonna leave it to Jim to talk about the more like the substance of the topic, because he's obviously a lot more qualified to do that than I am. But I can talk about the presentation styles and debating styles that everyone has, because I've kind of been doing that for a while. So I think the biggest thing I noticed from everyone that's important and can make your arguments stronger in the future is that when you are citing things, y'all tended to really just cite like space.com, nationalgeographic.com. A way to make your arguments a lot more credible in a lot of instances is by citing the qualifications of the authors of those pieces. So instead of just saying like space.com, like look who the author is, like look up what their qualifications are. If the person has like a PhD in astrophysics, that sounds a lot more persuasive than just saying space.com, if that makes sense. So that's one thing. Another thing I found was that I think everyone was really good at explaining why they think their side is correct, like why your arguments either for or against the Lunar Gateway are correct. But something that I thought in many speeches was missing was, I guess, direct refutation of the other side's arguments. So an example of where this came to mind for me was the cost section. So when you're debating how, like, is it going to be more costly to build the Lunar Gateway, or is it versus like just kind of maintaining or upgrading the ISS or building a lunar base or going to Mars? Both, that's like a really technical and like really hard to exactly nail down kind of thing. So when you're just kind of saying it's more expensive or it's not more expensive, it's really, really important to take your side into account and then also really try hard to explain why the other side is incorrect. And I'm not an expert on how costs work for space operations, but it would be really important to do more than just be like, this is more expensive, no, this is more expensive, which is, I guess just kind of a smaller point in my argument, or not my argument, but like my feedback about how important it is to, I guess, just respond, not just say your thing. Yeah, I guess this is sort of part of my lack of familiarity with this format, but I thought it was interesting what the negative was doing about saying how there are other ways that can be more effective than what the affirmative is proposing, because that seems to me to be a really strong way to approach it, because if you can prove that there are better ways to achieve universalization, then, you know, like what the affirmative is proposing probably is less relevant. But at the same time, you have to also have a reason combined with your counter proposal for why the affirmative's proposal is bad. So if you can say that, like, for example, a mission to Mars would achieve everything the Lunar Gateway would, then that's good, but you can't win the debate on that, because that's just saying there's something else that's just as good. You have to also have a reason the affirmatives proposal is bad and tie those together. But yeah, those are my main comments. I thought everyone did a really, really good job, and I really, really enjoyed judging this debate, so thank you.
And I do have to confess that the variety and nature of the arguments that both the affirmative and negative team provided were really good, and made it really tough on us judges, you know, trying to weigh the differences. So both teams did such a good job on that, you've done your homework. That was clear. My only comment with respect to the debate processing itself had to do with the ending summaries. I think I would have preferred to see a more positive take on that, would take more of a line of saying, you know, the other team made this point, but didn't consider this, or that fact is countered by this other fact, maybe some more recent information that's come out, or a more reputable source. And that kind of ties back to what Brian was talking about as to how you cite your sources, because there is quite a large range of quality of sources, particularly when it comes to discussions of space issues. So that does lend weight, you know, to your arguments by being a little bit more specific about where, you know, your information is coming from. And then also, you know, effectively linking that to your position and linking it to a rebuttal of the other team's position. I'm going to tell you that, you know, when that sign popped up, you know, we were actually considering before that coming back and asking for more time to come to a final decision, because both teams did such a good job in terms of delivery, your lines of reasoning and everything. But in the end, we did decide that the team that was taking the negative position did ever so slightly better than the affirmative team. So in the end, we agreed that the super heavy team would be the debate's winning team. So thank you all for what was an excellent debate.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It was extremely close. I think, are we allowed to disclose the actual score?
We won't disclose the score, but okay. let us say that
as much feedback as you can give would be fantastic. If there are individual,
I don't know that the score would be helpful feedback, but it would also show just how close. Okay, fine. The difference in score between the two teams was 1 point. So our margin for error, based on the fact that Brian and I are coming at this from very different perspectives, he being a debate professional, me being a space junkie. So it could have gone really either way in this debate. So and I'm happy to say that this is by far this is the sixth debate I have been a judge in this year, and this one was head and shoulders the closest, the most evenly matched of any two debates that we've gone through. So
if I can just ask the debaters, if that's okay, what is your experience with debate? Like, what formats do you participate in, or if any, outside of this?
Okay, I'll take that. This is the first debate contest I've ever participated in. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, you did a great job, Andre, for your first debate, and I am actually kind of envious because I would not want to be in any of your shoes trying to think as fast as you guys were doing and get in that many points in such a brief period of time. So I'm jealous of all of you.
Yeah, I think except 2 or 3 people, most of us are fresh debaters. We haven't debated before. So yeah, this was really great to watch, as I said, really neck to neck, and it was very, very entertaining.
Nice.
And very educational too, of course.
Yeah.
I have to say that that was the goal of this project, was to bring very, very fresh eyes onto the table in terms of what we're talking about, because they were all space junkies. All these people are space junkies. We were hoping we would have some debate expertise to put on the teams, and that's like how we decided who the teams would be. We tried to have as much diversity on there as possible, as well as different cultures and countries, but also expertise. And we were hoping the ones who had never debated before could pick up some pointers from others, and also working with some very good coaches to help them through that process. But I also want to say, I wanted to get a comment from Dr. Edmonds about what you feel about the use of universalization in this particular resolution. It's very different than the other, in Resolution A.
Well, I don't know if all I can say is what I see in relationship to universalization is just a growing understanding of what it is. And I think that's the interesting part of this journey, is I think many of the students had no idea what the concept was. And now I think they're starting to appreciate that the debate itself is a living example of the idea of universalization. And that is being inclusive, being compassionate, and more than anything, doing that through a cooperative strategy of trying to come to understanding very difficult questions. And I would agree that of the debates I've been watching, this was probably one of the best and most difficult debates to evaluate who was the best debater, because I think you all brought such great insights to the conversation. And I think you start to realize just how complex, just using the gateway as an example, how complex such an idea of exploration is on humanity's sustainability. And I think that started to come out much clearer as time has gone on and as the years have gone on since we first started this process. So today was truly an example. I must say, every time I listen to the debates and listen to all of you speak, it's a really impressive community of thinkers. And so we are moving forward, that is for sure.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, LJ. Yeah, thank you everyone for your comments. It was very lovely. I'd once again like to congratulate both Team New Glenn and Super Heavy. Everyone, please unmute your mics and let's have a round of applause for all participants in today's fun debate. Fantastic job, everyone. Once again, thank you for all those who have made this match possible. Team Super Heavy will proceed to their next match. That will be Saturday, June 6th at 8 a.m. CDT in room 15. I hope you enjoy the remainder of your morning, your afternoon, or your evening. Thank you very much for participating in the May tournament of the SPUN Virtual Debates 2020. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
too. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Congratulations.